Konnichiwa, welcome to How to Japanese series. In this video, you will learn how to conjugate Japanese verbs from their present short forms to mashita and masendeshita forms in past tense for polite speech. I watch TV in present casual speech is terebi o miru. In polite speech, we would say terebi o mimasu. If I don't watch TV, I would say terebi o mimasen. I watched TV past tense in Japanese is terebi o mimashita. I did not watch TV in Japanese is terebi o mimasen deshita. How do we change verbs from their short forms to mashita and masendeshita forms? To get these forms, first we will need to know how to change verbs from their short forms to mas forms. To do so, we will first need to know the Japanese verb types. There are three types of Japanese verbs. The first group is U verbs, also known as Group 1 verbs, such as the verbs that you see here. There are 9 possible verb endings for this type of Japanese verbs. The second group is Lu verbs, also known as Group 2 verbs, such as the verbs that you see here. There is only one possible verb ending for this type of Japanese verbs, which is Lu. And Lu has to be preceded by an S sound or E sound. The third group is Irregular verbs, also known as Group 3 verbs, and they include the following 2 verbs only. These verbs are short affirmative forms. Let's begin with Lu verbs and change them from short forms to mas forms. The long form of taberu is tabemasu. The long form of miru is mimasu. The formula is to drop the Lu ending of a Lu verb and then add mas. This way you will get the long form, aka polite form of the Lu verbs. This time, we are going to conjugate the U verbs. As I mentioned earlier, there are 9 possible endings. They all have the U endings. Let's look at kau first that ends with U. When you first learned hiragana, you learned a, I, U, e, o, and U is a part of this row. Let's move down to matsu, to wait, and its ending is tsu, and tsu is a part of the tachi tsuteto row. The third word you see here is wakaru, which has the Lu ending, and Lu is a part of the rarirurero row. Here's the rest of the table. Please note, column 1 has all of the A sound characters, column 2, E sounds, column 3, U sounds, column 4, E sounds, and column 5, O sounds. I hope by now you have noticed that the endings of U verbs are just like the ones in column 3. Basically, column 3 contains the ending of U verbs in their short forms. It is very important to know this table well as you will use it for U verb conjugations. Now we're going to use this table and change U verbs into their mas forms. I am duplicating the verb list here so that I can show you the short forms and their mas forms side by side. How do we exactly change these U verbs to their mas forms? Let's revisit the middle column, which is the third column with the U sound characters. We're going to move from column 3 to column 2, containing all of the E sound characters. To change U verbs into their mas forms, we will need this E sound column to replace all of the U endings. Now we're going to add mas. By doing so, we are changing kau to its mas form. Kaimasu. Now apply the same rule to matsu. So its mas form is machimasu. Now apply the same rule to wakaru. Its mas form is wakarimasu. You can pause the video and practice the rest of the mas forms. The meaning of the short form is exactly the same as its mas form. The only difference is we use the short forms in casual speech and the long forms in polite speech. In summary, to get mas forms of U verbs, we will need to change the U ending to E sound first and then add mas. Here's the recap for Lu verbs. To get the mas form of a Lu verb is to drop Lu and then add mas. Now let's move on to the 2 irregular verbs. For this group, we will need to drop the Lu ending and then replace the U sound with E sound. For suru, to do, drop Lu, change su to shi, and then add mas. So, shimasu is the long form of suru. For kuru, to come, drop ru, change ku to ki. So, kimasu is the long form of kuru. Now that you know the must conjugation, all you have to do is change masu to mashita, and you will get the verb's past tense. To change must forms to their negative forms is easy. Just change masu to masen, which means I don't do something or I will not do something. When we add deshita to masen, we change a verb from its present negative form to its past negative form, which means I did not do something. Please note the conjugation orders. Use the table below. To watch is miru, its present polite form is mimasu, negative form is mimasen, past tense is mimashita. That is, masu, masen, and mashita follow a verb after you have conjugated it. Did not watch is masendeshita. Please note verb root is followed by its negative form first and then past tense in that order. Please also note the conjugation examples you see are for lu verbs only. U verbs and irregular verbs have different conjugations, but the conjugation orders are the same. Here's a dialogue between Yui and Taka, who talked about what they did or did not do yesterday using mashita and masendeshita forms. 昨日、映画を見ましたか？
いいえ、見ませんでした。
じゃあ、昨日何をしましたか？
本を読みました。ゆいさんは？
私は買い物に行きました。Here, please find 5 tables of commonly used nouns and verbs. You can use the verbs in mashita or masendeshita forms to describe if you did or did not do these activities. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.